Welcome back to HBCU Game Day and welcome into our Atlanta studios. It is the 2024 HBCU Game Day Celebration Bowl Super Show. I am Symone Stanley, joined by our lovely co-hosts today, Wilton Jackson and Stephen J. Gaither. Guys, how are you feeling?
Feeling great, Symone. It's another Celebration Bowl. I feel like we was just here back in August talking about college football season getting started, but now we're at the Celebration Bowl. Two great teams that's going to battle it out on the field on Saturday, South Carolina State, Jackson State. Jackson State looking to win its first Celebration Bowl. It's their third appearance in 4 years. TC has been to the Celebration Bowl 4 different times, one going back to his time in North Carolina Central. But the Tigers are looking to bring a championship back to Jackson.
Steve, how you feeling?
I'm good, man. I'm in Atlanta. The vibes are good. The teams got here on Wednesday. I was able to go to some events yesterday, and then of course the band of the year, not the Battle of the Bands, here. So it's a good time to be here in Atlanta.
You sound like you sleep, Steve. You gonna wake up for the show?
Nah, man. I had to get 100%, for the show. So just taking it real easy, real mellow.
You got the smooth, quiet storm voice going on tonight.
A little something.
Well, we have a loaded show for you guys. We have so many special guests that's going to be here. Make sure you stay to the end because Clark Atlanta University head coach Teddy Keaton will be joining us. We are going to talk about the Band of the Year conversation. Wilton and I are going to break down the matchup, Jackson State versus South Carolina State. We're going to get into the X's and O's. But first, let's get into some sound bites. Now, Steve, you had a chance to check out some press conferences. You were around the team during some of the ceremonies and banquets. What were some of the vibes that you caught?
Well, yeah. So last night there was the Celebration Bowl Circle of Champions, and so that's where the coaches that have won Celebration Bowls will get a chance to be recognized, and they also induct the Hall of Famer. So it's a really classy affair. It's at the College Football Hall of Fame where they do a great job with events, and it also had both the players from Jackson State and South Carolina State. It can always get a little bit interesting, and so they called up Irv Mulligan, the SWAC Player of the Year, and Eric Phoenix, the MEAC Offensive Player of the Year. Those two came together, and it got a little spicy over there. So I think we have the video of a little bit of what went down, so you guys can check that out.
Eric, they gave you the same world your guys did. What that feel to you? Good. That's bulldog tenacity right there.
Has been talked. Now, Wilton, it's time for these players, it's time for these teams to walk that walk.
It is, Symone. Like if that doesn't get you hyped for this game on tomorrow, I don't know what does. I mean, you have two of the best players from each team. Obviously, Eric Phoenix, quarterback for South Carolina State, has thrown for over 2,500 yards this year. MEAC Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, he's had a phenomenal season. Coach Berry's talked about him from the very start. And then how many times have we talked about Irv Mulligan and Jackson State in that rushing attack? He's had an incredible season, over 1,000 yards, and not even a full 12 games. So just to see both of them get on that stage, talk the trash talk, you got to like that. I mean, it just sets up the mood for a really, really intense Celebration Bowl game on tomorrow.
Absolutely. It's time to get into the trenches, Wilton. We've done this every Friday night this season. It's been me and Wilton breaking down the biggest matchups. Well, now it's only one matchup left, the one that means the most, the Celebration Bowl. Who is going to hoist that trophy? Let's talk about how each team's got here, and let's talk about the matchups to watch on the field. So both of these teams are led by high-powered offenses. Jackson State is getting it done on the ground with the SWAC Offensive Player of the Year. Irv Mulligan. Irv Mulligan, like you mentioned, Wilton, Irv rushed for over 1,000 yards this season. He had 10 touchdowns in only 10 games. He missed 2 games because of injury this season. He was still able to rack up over 1,000 yards. There he is. Look at him go. He is somebody who is so elusive, so strong. Look at him breaking 2 tackles, juking the guy out. Keep going. Spin move, and still going.
Been doing that all season.
All season long. And the South Carolina State Bulldogs, their offense is led through the air by the MEAC Offensive Player of the Year, Eric Phoenix. This guy, he can carve the defenses up with his arm. We've seen him do it all season long. He led the MEAC in passing yards, 2,460 passing yards and 20 touchdowns on a 65% completion rate. He's throwing it, and he's accurate because, some of these guys, they be slinging that rock, but it don't be going where it's supposed to go. You know how that is, Wilton.
Right.
But look, the deep ball accuracy, short routes, all kinds of, and then he's just so elusive with his legs as well. You won't see it that much here in these highlights, but he's a guy who can get it done with his legs as a dual threat. But Eric Phoenix, we saw him on stage talking trash with Irv Mulligan.
Right.
2 high-power offenses going at it on Saturday. What has made that side of the ball special for the Tigers and for the Bulldogs?
I think when you talk about South Carolina State, this is a offense that thrives on the impact of its offensive line. You talk about Chennis Berry and the offensive line that he has at South Carolina State. They have a lot of continuity. You're talking about guys like Nick Tace, Cam Brown. They have so much experience playing with each other, and that's what really has allowed them to have success. You're talking about a quarterback in Eric Phoenix. He's not able to do what he does without the success of that offensive line. You're talking about an Eric Phoenix that he can sit in the pocket and deliver passes, is what we've seen on the highlights. But then also you talk about an Eric Phoenix that if he gets outside the pocket and scrambles and makes plays and extends plays with his legs like he's doing there, he can be very, very dangerous. And so not only is he dangerous, but the weapons he has behind him in the backfield. You're talking about 2 dynamic running backs and KZ Adams and DeAndre Duhart that I think personally don't get enough attention, as opposed to just a lot of the attention solely going on Eric Phoenix. And let's not even talk about, we haven't even talked about the wide receivers they have, Caden High and Justin Brown. I got a chance to talk to Justin Brown at the presser this morning for South Carolina State. Very humble guy, but when it's time for business, it's time for business. And so essentially with South Carolina State, they're able to have an offense that really thrives on its offensive line being able to do what it does, which allows for its running game to be strong and for Eric Phoenix to do what he does.
And when we look at the Jackson State Tigers, led by Irv Mulligan, 1,058 rushing yards. He has more rushing yards than all 3 of South Carolina State's running backs combined.
And guess where he's from?
South Carolina.
Exactly.
Ooh, spicy.
Very, very spicy. And so when you think about that, and very similar to South Carolina State, Symone, these two teams are similar, but I think that also when you look at Jackson State, their offensive line has been strong all year. And TC is a coach who has said from day one, he built this team for December. And last time I checked, it's December, and tomorrow's the Celebration Bowl. So they've been able to run the ball at pretty much whatever they wanted to do all season against most of its opponents. Like you're talking about an Irv Mulligan at running back. You're talking about a Travis Terrell who's had a phenomenal year, a freshman. He's not like your big, stocky running back, but he's your quick guy and can make people miss. And you're talking about with Jackson State, of course, with quarterback at Jacoby Morgan. Obviously, he was banged up against Southern in the SWAC championship game. Got a chance to ask Coach Taylor, would he be the starter? So he's going to be the starter in Saturday's game. But if don't be surprised if you may see some potential packages for Zy McDonald or Cameron McCoy. You just never know. And then also the wide receivers for Jackson State. I think that they had a lot of injuries there. One of their key injuries was Fabian McCray earlier in the season, but they've had a bevy of wide receivers to step up and make plays. But like South Carolina State, Jackson State's offense definitely thrives and starts at the offensive line.
All right. Well, we talked about the offenses. We know Eric Phoenix can carve them up. We know Irv Mulligan can run them down. Yep. The question is, which defense can stop the other team? Whose defense is going to rise up and get those crucial stops? When you look on the other side of the ball defensively, what do you see in these two teams?
Symone, it's going to be hard. If you're a defensive player in this game, you actually love this game because most people think that you're probably not going to show up and be able to stop the opposing offense. But when you start talking about South Carolina State defense, you can't talk about the Bulldogs defense without Aaron Smith. My gosh. If you like Chennis Berry and the voice he gives when he talks.
No, you dead wrong for that. I was wondering who was going to do the first Chennis Berry impression on the show. I should have known. Wilton.
Listen to me. Aaron Smith, I wanted to ask Coach Berry this, like, that's you could almost say that's his child. Because when he was in the presser this morning, the same level of energy, tenacity, compassion, he had the same level that Chennis Berry was on. And really all the players are on the stage. But when you talk about defense, Aaron Smith, Diego Addison, Jaden Jones, Jaden Broughton, this is a defense that is very ferocious. They get after the quarterback. If I'm not mistaken, they had about 36 sacks this season, which was best in the MEAC. So if you're Jacoby and Morgan and that offensive line for Jackson State, you got to make sure that you keep him uptight so that he doesn't necessarily get sacked in this game. And when you talk about Jackson State, you're talking about players like you're talking about Ashton Nobles. You're talking about Robert McDaniels in the secondary. You're talking about a Keevrick Wiggins who has experience from previous years in playing for Jackson State. And this defense, one thing about Jackson State over the last 6 or 7 games, you talk about lights out, like shutout in the second half. It's a running joke that if you don't score the points in the first half against Jackson State, you might not get that many in the second half. So if you're South Carolina State, whatever points, again, Jackson State fans are expecting this. If you don't get any points in the first half, you might not get that much in the second half.
Now, if you've been paying attention to the show all season long, if you've been watching HBCU Friday Night all season long, you know that we have a special segment on the show called Wilton's Picks. And you also know that even though he tries to hide it, Wilton is a professor at Jackson State, so he might be a little biased. Also, his last name is Jackson State. Now, Wilton, who do you think has the edge in this game?
I think the edge is gonna go to Jackson State.
Really?
I do think it's gonna go to Jackson State. I think that they're gonna be able to make a few more additional plays, maybe a few more explosive plays that'll help them get the win. But I will say this: I really do think this is gonna be a close game. Number one. Number two, I would not be surprised to see if it came down to a field goal or whichever defense was able to come up with a key play at the most critical time to get the win.
It sounds like you're evading making a stance here.
I'm making a choice to go with Jackson State.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see. We should have compiled your overall record this season, see where you stood. But he has a positive record this season. We are going to have Coach Teddy Keaton join us on the show. Coach Keaton, the head man in charge at Clark Atlanta University, leading the Red and Black Panthers. Coach Teddy Keaton and our very own Stephen J. Gaither are going to be joining us. Coach Keaton is just a celebrity these days. He's not just a coach. He's a celebrity coach as well. So it's just so great to have a piece of his time.
How you doing, Symone?
I'm great. How are you?
Which one are you doing?
Right there.
Sit wherever you would like. Y'all can't see, but he fresh head to toe. He got the red and black J's on, black cargo pants, black love, red shirt, fitted cap, snapback.
Well,
Coach is fly.
they are the other red HBCU because only 2 HBCUs got the real pure red anyway. Clark Atlanta and Winston-Salem State. Everybody else, that's like y'all third color.
Not you trying to make this about Winston-Salem State.
It's about red. It's about red.
Coach Keaton, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. So I want to start off by asking you, you coached across from head coach Chennis Berry when he was at Benedict College. How cool is it to see him in the MEAC now and in the Celebration Bowl?
It's wonderful. I think he did it for the world of D2. Us coaches that strive to work the hard way, he got it out of the mud. And I think that Chennis is probably one of the best coaches that you'll go against strategy-wise, work ethic-wise. He's going to have his team ready to play. Tomorrow he's going to coach as an underdog, and he's going to have those kids ready to amp. And some of them are undersized, but he's still going to have them ready to go.
Yeah, no, I mean, you said it great yourself. Coach Berry, again, just last year, he was at Benedict, back-to-back championships. I know you guys played him tough, but just talk about, and he kind of talked about that with, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, where a lot of the times we've seen a lot of different waves in hiring of coaches, right? We've seen where everybody was trying to go get a D1 assistant. And then we saw, of course, Coach Deion Sanders, and then Coach Eddie George, Eddie Robinson, guys who have done fabulous things, but they had never really been coaches. And now with Chennis Berry, you're seeing a guy from D2, HBCU get a chance at the D1 level. What do you think about that and how things have kind of flipped around?
And my Chennis Berry, y'all guys didn't believe in these D2 players.
First of all, why are you pointing at folks? Who is y'all?
I'm talking about the media.
I'm a moderator. I don't be giving opinions, Coach. I just be teeing up the questions.
Well, to answer the question, here's what I feel. I think for us coaches who work our way from D2 assistants to D2 head coaches, and we really work hard at trying to develop our kids, and for him to make it, and he took a plethora of those D2 kids to South Carolina State with him, and they added a lot of value to that team and that program as individuals. We saw it as, take for instance Eric Phoenix. When we saw him on the field, he played well. He made good check downs. He had a bad game in the playoff game, but he came back and went to Murray State, I believe. And then for him to reunite with Chennis and come back and be the HBCU Player of the Year, come on now. He's doing a really good job. And I think that us as coaches hate to see a celebrity coach get hired. We hate to see a guy come in that didn't put in any work, that haven't worked hard. Coach Berry waited, unlike myself, Coach Berry waited 30 years almost to become a head coach. So I'm so proud of him and his shine that he's getting and what he's done and what he's able to go. I'm talking about this guy went 20-0, 20-2 in Division II football. Then he turns around and go take South Carolina State and do what he do. That should set the stage to say that these guys, we coach too, we work. And if you look at a lot of the SWAC teams, Chennis is an offensive guy. I think that all of them with jobs that need to be searched, they need to be looking at the fact that how can we get us an offensive guy that can call plays that can help our offenses speed up? Chennis Berry was one of those guys that could do that. Everybody's got solid defense, or maybe it's just because the offense is so bad. So we got to figure out a way to get our offenses that is must-watch TV. You don't want to watch games where you're watching the game and it's just a defensive matchup unless it is just where they playing great, solid defense and not players making plays.
Yeah, unless you got like 8 NFL guys, and it kind of makes sense. To that end, we are in the coaching search season, and there's a lot of openings open because of the success of a Chennis Berry, because of the success that you've had over here at Clark Atlanta and what you did at Allen. Your name comes up a lot in that. For you, what is it like? I know you kind of talked about how people have always kind of betted against you. What is it like now for folks to be mentioning you up there with some of those guys and putting you out there?
I'm very humble about the situation. I know that I work hard. I know I put in the work to get what I get. I'm one of those guys that started from the bottom. I mean, I'm talking about all my career. I've never been number one on anybody's list. I challenged her when I got the job at Clark, and I told her if I can't win, nobody won't win here. And I meant that. That's the kind of confidence that we elude in ourselves, and that's the way we got to work, because nothing ever came easy. And so you breed that type of fight into your kids, and they understand that this is what it takes to win. And I think that's confidence. Some people call it arrogancy, but there's a line between confidence and arrogancy that must be flirted with if you're going to build a team of young men to go out and play football for you. So to be in those names, to be mentioned, right now I'm the coach at Clark Atlanta University. I'm happy to be at Clark Atlanta University. I like the direction we're trying to go in. Clark Atlanta, what other brand can you get? And I'm serious about this. What other brand can you get that's as big as Clark Atlanta's brand? All they needed was a winner. That's all they needed was that. Now we done turned up and bought people out of the dead. Everybody done woke up. The games were packed. We probably made more money. Attendance went up to number 13th in D2 football. I mean, we've done everything you could possibly do except win the championship. So we got some unfinished business. I got everybody locked in. If you notice, only 2 of my players got in the transfer portal out of a roster of 96 players. So that obviously say they've bought into what I'm selling, what we're doing. And I got to, really weigh some options if something do come open to realize what's beneficial for me and my family and what I want to do with the next phase of my career.
How has it been rising? You said you were never number one on anybody's list, but now you're a guy people calling. You're doing podcasts with 85 South Show. You on First Take.
You was with my boy Chico?
He was on the Broken Play with Nav. I love Nav Green is hilarious.
He is hilarious. I had a great time, great experience.
That is one of my favorite comedians. But what is it like now? You're a face in the ATL. What is it like now rising up and being a high-profile guy in the city?
I like it. I didn't come in it for the fame. I just so happened, low-key, I could have been a comedian if I didn't choose football.
Is that right? Because
Most people think I'm hilarious.
It's a lot of comedy clubs around here.
I don't remember anybody saying that.
No, you didn't say it because you never heard it. So it is what it is. I love it. I love it.
It was probably Sly talking over him. You probably
Right,
forgot
Sly.
Nah, Sly is the one who need to be in a comedy show somewhere.
Right.
But at any rate, we have fun. Now they bring me back. This is the second time I've did their show. I shout out to Chad and those guys at 85 South. They've been nothing but good to me. I got a hat, I got shirts, I got everything, and I gave them my gear. We're having fun over there, and it's just good to be able to talk about HBCU football in that space that none of those guys ever really want to, talk about.
Did you bring us gear?
I did bring you no gear, but I promise you. That
So
if
you
you
go
stay
on
out
the
of
other-
Philadelphia for one weekend, we might be able to get you a shirt.
So
I just didn't think you would wear it.
When you go to other people's shows, you bring gifts.
Well, you guys kind of caught me at the end, and I wasn't prepared for you guys. But
as a coach, you're supposed to always be prepared for anything.
Well, next time I'm gonna start keeping it in the trunk. But I do have the Be the Reason line out. That's shout out to Anthony Lawrence Collection. He does me, Chinnisberry, Coach Prime. He added another coach, and I think it's another big-time coach that's fixing to join the collection. So we just proud of Chinnis is my guy. TC, I have a connection to TC too. TC is family. TC, his wife is my mother-in-law's cousin. So we kind of root for TC in that area, and we root for Chinnis because Chinnis is that D2 guy. But I think it's going to be a phenomenal game yesterday. And shout out to the guys who do the Celebration Bowl. I've been watching it, kind of all week. It's been fantastic. That's the way it should be celebrated, and I really like it.
So who are you picking in the game tomorrow?
If TC played McDonald, I'll like him. I don't know why he likes McDowell so much. I'm not a fan of him. I think he holds the ball too long, those different things. But Chinnis going to have those guys ready to play football, and it's hard to go against Chinnis. I played him twice, and he whooped my behind. I'm talking about, and nobody give Jordan Adair the credit, man. That defense plays at a high level all the time, and those D linemen are going to do exactly what they need to do. And I think it's going to be a tough matchup. I'm going to go with what my man said. It's going to go down to a field goal. If everybody plays defense like they're capable of playing, it could be a tough game tomorrow.
So you're going with Jackson State?
I did not say that.
Who you going with?
I'm going with me.
You got to make a pick. Come on, this is show business.
First one to what score wins?
Jackson State starts off slow. The last 3 games I watched them play, they got to play faster in the first 2 quarters. If you ever played a Chinnisberry team, he's going to have them ready to play for 4 quarters. That's going to be the difference in the game. TC going to have to get them out there, and they got to play fast right away, because if Eric Phoenix get out there and he gets comfortable, it could be a long day for them. And they can grind the ball out. People don't really see that, but they can grind the ball out. They got bubbles. They got little things to get them first downs, and they're going to keep moving. And the MEAC for over years has been a tough opponent for the SWAC right now. Mm-hmm. So you talking about over the years, if you had to go with the past, would you go with the underdog? Yes, I'm assuming, all the players are over at Jackson State, but there's a lot of scrappy players who want to win. And I think that's what it's going to come down to, who plays the hardest.
All that just to not make a pick. I appreciate it, Coach. I appreciate it. Very savvy. But we picked up on that.
I'm not going to say anything.
Well, we just wanted the record to show that at what time was it? At 4:23 p.m. on December 13th, Teddy Keaton was here, not anywhere else. He was in Atlanta, hanging with us, keeping these kids out of the transfer portal. I got to ask you this: how to me it seems like every kid that makes a first down or breaks up a pass wants to go in the transfer portal the next year. Everybody's always looking for that leg up. How are you guys dealing with that? Obviously, the portal works both ways, but how tough is that to keep your best guys?
You got to recruit them every day. I promise you, it's like your girlfriend. They get a little bit more. You got to talk to her. You got to make sure she feels confident about herself. Same way with players. You got to do that. But here's what nobody's talking about. The roster sizes for Division I has got to go to 105. That means they're going to lose about 50. The average roster size is 165 right now, something. They're going to lose a lot of kids. So you're talking about an additional 1,200 players that possibly going to get into the portal. Our kids at our level who come there to play, unless somebody's talked to you and actually had a conversation. And let's not kid ourselves. Somebody's in somebody's DM right now having a conversation about playing football for them. If that conversation hadn't started and you don't have a legitimate strike for that, I would not get caught up in that portal. There's a lot of kids that hit the portal from the Division II level where I have already earned a team. I'm the starter. I am a playmaker. Why would I jump in the portal knowing the situation? So now I forfeited my scholarship. Now I have everything that I was doing. I was starting. Why would you do it? I just think it's going to be a fiasco this year. And I think a lot of kids are going to get caught in that trap. A lot of good football players are going to get caught in that trap of a transfer portal because they listening to the homeboy in the barbershop. They listening to somebody, oh, you can play bigger level football than this. I think D2 is great football. I think that there's a lot of competitive football players. I think it's a great place to play. And because of all of, we get more press in the SIAC and the CIAA than most teams get that causes other people to want to join us. I played on TV this year, 8 out of the 9 games I played this year on some form of TV. Where else could you get that in Division II football? So what else do you want? I'm a starter. I'm a superstar. Why would you jump in the portal? I saw DBs, I'm talking about great DBs for this conference, jump in the portal. I saw D linemen, I saw O linemen, quarterbacks. Like, where are you going? I'm just as baffled to what goes into that thought process to tell a kid to jump in the portal. So in my instance, I talk to my kids. My institution has the 3 A's. We have athletics now, we have academics, and we have activities. So if you got that holistic approach to the college experience that you're looking for, what are you going somewhere else for? Because you want to be a tree climber? And then a lot of kids, if somebody just did a study of how many kids that left certain schools where they were playing at and then go to another institution only to sit on the bench or never get a shot. I got 3 Power 5 guys on my team this year that never played one down of football at Clark Atlanta University. That's an interesting story. Never touched the field, never was productive, never really did anything that was worthy of saying that they could take a Division II player's spot. And then there's some Division II guys that take the guy that left from Everett Waters to go over to Mississippi Valley. Rembert, I think that's his name. Rembert went over and he was a baller. He was a baller at Everett Waters, but he's one of the few that could go. So what you would do is you would go to a team that's really bad, like a Arkansas Pine Bluff or a Mississippi Valley. Those type players, it's the truth.
He's been making a lot of enemies for us on this show, low-key.
He ain't lying.
See, we all got to undress ourselves and tell the truth. The truth of the matter is some of those places are bad, and some of them need players. So if I'm trying to build a team at that level, I'm gonna rob the D2s of all their great players, and maybe I might be able to compete to win 5 or 6 ball games at that level. Now, if you think about what Chennis Berry did, he took some of the top players from Division II and put them on that South Carolina State team. And look what South Carolina State is at right now. Because there's a lot of guys that come into Division II right now that's not being recruited by the Division I schools because they're too busy recruiting in the portal or they recruiting from each other. So why wouldn't I take the opportunity to go play at a Division II? And maybe I got it just like when you get drafted. If you're the number 1 pick, you go into the worst team, right? It's some people that don't want to go there. But you got to go there and prove yourself and hopefully create value for yourself as an individual that you can get moved on somewhere else.
There's a lot of there. Just guys, remember the portal is deep. You get in there, you might not be able to get out. Yeah, Coach, we definitely appreciate you for coming through. I know you're on a time crunch. I know you got places to be. It's Christmas. You got babies to kiss and, Santa Claus is to give out. So, but I appreciate you for coming through as always, and appreciate you for partnering with us with the Teddy Keaton Show. It's been a pleasure. And I guess the next thing we'll, as Coach rolls out, we will cue up South Carolina State's new head coach, Chennis Berry. He talked about the culture of South Carolina State that he has ingrained himself in short order. So we'll go to that clip, and we'll have somebody else that's been intimately involved in watching and telling the South Carolina State story coming up next.
Thank you. Years and years of domination
You know, and I first took the job there. Obviously, I have a great relationship with Coach Pugh. Coach Pugh is my guy. I followed a legend, man, but you know, it was my time to be able to write my own story. You know, what Coach Pugh did was unbelievable. And I really look up to Coach Pugh. I love Coach Pugh wholeheartedly. And I'm grateful for him for all that. But as I walk into practice every day and I look at up in our press box, anybody that's been to South Carolina State University, Oliver C. Dawson Stadium at Willie Jeffries Field, you look up and you just see championships. So I'm a part of a championship program. All right, dating all the way back to the 70s, 1974. They just celebrated their 50th year, the very first MEAC championship. I got a chance to speak to that group of young men. I'm calling them young men now. They're obviously in their 70s now, but they're great people, and I got an opportunity to speak with all those guys a couple weeks ago. But you know, you look at greatness, you look at the success that Willie Jeffries had there for all those years, and then you look at the success that Bill Davis had. He won 4 MEAC championships. Willie Jeffries won several MEAC championship, and then all the success that Coach Pugh has done. I'm just standing on the shoulders of greatness. You know, that's greatness right there.
You just gotta love some good preaching from Coach Chennis Berry. And a guy that has been loving hearing Coach Berry talk and coach this season is Cobi Orr. Cobi Orr is the head man at the Blitz City Podcast, and he is repping the South Carolina State University Bulldogs. Yes. Cobi, thanks for hanging out.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited about this.
How does it feel to have the Bulldogs back in the Celebration Bowl?
It is amazing, man. The whole week has been absolutely fantastic. Ever since we clinched the MEAC, man, we were so excited to get back just because, you know, the vibes were great last time we won. So we want to experience that again. Now, for me personally, I wasn't here last time. I was watching it from home. So now that I'm here experiencing it for the first time, it's even better. So it's all smiles.
So when Coach Pugh left South Carolina State, and they announced the hire of Coach Chennis Berry, what was your reaction?
We were all excited. Coach Berry is the only guy that we wanted. We were saying that throughout the season because we knew Coach Pugh was going, obviously, since the beginning of the year. We all knew that that's what we wanted, and we all even went to, you know, Benedict's playoff game versus Lenoir Ryan last year just to get to see him in action in person. So, when we announced him, we were just elated because we knew what he was going to bring. We loved his energy. You see the clips of him at Benedict and how he was able to get those guys riled up, and we knew he could do the same thing for us, and we were right.
Did you expect him to have South Carolina State University back at the top so fast, though, in just one season taking over for the program in the Celebration Bowl?
If anybody outside of that locker room says that they believed it, they are lying. None of us did. Don't get me wrong. We all had confidence in Coach Berry that he would take this program back, but we thought this would be a year where we were competitive with everybody else. You know, you weren't going to see the 60-point blowout that happened at North Carolina Central the last year. So we knew that we were going to be competitive. We just didn't expect this. So nobody outside of that locker room expected that.
What's been the most exciting part about watching the South Carolina State team this year?
The offense. It's so different from what it was. We were a heavy run-first team. You know, the passing game wasn't really that exciting to watch, but now, you know, we're throwing bombs down the field. You know, it's big plays galore, and we're coming out from the beginning. You know, sometimes the first play of the game would take it all the way to the house. We're not really used to seeing this right now. This is exciting.
All right, South Carolina State clinched the MEAC. Mm-hmm. And the SWAC was still playing, deciding they were going to send to the Celebration Bowl.
Right.
What team were you hoping would come out of the SWAC?
Jackson State.
Oh.
Jackson State.
Oh, you wanted Jackson State?
I wanted Jackson State.
You wanted, why?
I used to cover them for a couple years back when Prime was over there, so I know those guys personally. So for me personally, I wanted to beat them again in Atlanta. On top of that, the MEAC SWAC Challenge last year, you know, they got a little excited off of that. So they got theirs, we got ours. Now it's time to settle this in round 3.
What do you think is going to be the biggest key for South Carolina State to beat Jackson again?
Stopping Irv Mulligan. Well, you can't really stop a guy like that, but you can't contain him. He is a guy who likes to deliver punishment. He gets stronger with every carry. So, I think one of the best things about his game is that he gets extra yards. Those legs keep churning at the first initial hit of contact. So it is important that we gang tackle and bring him down because this offense runs through him. If we stop him, if we contain him, and if we don't kick to Travis Terrell, and then we make Jacoby and Morgan put this game into his hands and tries to win it for Jackson State, I think we'll be fine.
And you were able to hear a little bit of our conversation with Coach Keaton when he was breaking down this matchup, South Carolina versus Jackson. What were some of your takeaways? Did you agree with some of the things he was saying?
I agree. I agree with everything you said. I love Coach Keaton. That's my guy.
And he specifically said that Jackson State was going to have to come out fast against South Carolina State. You agree with that?
Because that's what we do. You know, we're not afraid to take chances. You know, you have to take chances, otherwise, you're not going to get the reward. No risk, no reward, right? So we come out fast every single time. We're not afraid to seize that opportunity. We don't wait for the game to come to us. We go take it, or at least we will attempt to every time. So no, we're not waiting until the second half. You wait too long, you could be losing. You could lose. So yeah, they have to come out fast if they want to stay in this game. That's the way we do it. We've been successful at it all season, and I don't really see us slowing down right now when we've been so successful at starting off fast throughout the season.
Everybody knows the South Carolina State team for the offense, the quarterback play, and also the linebacker play. What part of this team do you think is underrated, though?
The secondary. The secondary has been absolutely phenomenal, better than it has been for the past couple of years as well. And, at the beginning of the season, our top guy was Jamari Benjamin, and then here comes Gerard Washington, who is leading the charge now, and he's the guy. He's getting a couple pick sixes back-to-back. Then you got Logan James in the secondary. He provides great run support. We lose Dathan Peterson for the season, unfortunately, but we've had guys who are walk-ons, who are now starting. We're asking a lot of them, and they're stepping up, and they're doing what they have to do. So we have a lot of great contributors in that secondary, and I would say that's definitely by far the most underrated part of this defense.
Now, you said you wanted Jackson State. I think they're going to take that as a little bit of disrespect.
They know me. They know me. So we go back and forth a little bit.
But South Carolina State is back in that underdog role. Last time y'all played Jackson State in the Celebration Bowl, everybody was picking Jackson State. It's the same in this case. You hear everybody coming on the show talking about the Tigers, about the Tigers. How does it feel to be back in that underdog role?
We love it. We embrace it. We embrace that fully. If you want to count us out, cool. We don't. We look at ourselves as what we are. We think we're a great football team with a great chance to come out there and take the trophy home. And it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's all cool. We're used to it. Like you said, we've seen it back in 2021. It is what it is. If y'all want to pick Jackson State, you have every right to. But it might not be what you think it's going to be.
I like the confidence. That is one thing I do like. What is your score prediction for this game?
I do think it'll be a close one. This is the type of game that can come down to a field goal. However, I would say 31-28.
South Carolina State. Okay, we only got one guy picking South Carolina State so far on this show, but we still have a lot to talk about. You were going back and forth on social media with our girl, Erica Lee. When Coach Barry got hired, the Twitter streets, it was buzzing.
Yeah.
And Erica Lee, she put out a tweet basically referencing the fact that South Carolina State was a glorified Division II program.
Right.
I think my girl is standing on business. She's going to come on the show, and y'all can have at it. Two MEAC people, go at it. So we're going to bring Stephen J. Gaither and Erica Lee onto the show. They're going to talk a little bit about the MEAC and a little bit more about South Carolina State University. Welcome in.
This way?
All right. So, yeah, guys, moving and shaking. It is Celebration Bowl Friday, and the city is on fire. So we're happy we were able to get both of these guys to come on. So again, my guy Cobi holding it down over here for Blitz City Podcast, and we have it's Howard University's own representative of the HBCU Nightly Network, Miss Erica Lee.
Hi.
What's going on, cuz? How you doing?
It's nice to be back. I wish my team was in it, but here we are. It's very nice to support the MEAC Unity this weekend. So
that's so cute. So let's talk about this. So we talked a little bit with Coach Keaton a little bit earlier. He talked about Chinnis Berry and what it was that he was able to do taking his Benedict team and really turning that into a powerhouse. And then about a year ago, we got hired at South Carolina State,
Yes.
and soon thereafter, the flow started from Columbia to Orangeburg, Highway 26, I think it is. All season, we got months of prognostications and talking and picks, and people, give a team 5 different records by the time the season has finished. You guys got into one of your talks about what they, what teams were going to do in the MEAC, and what record did you give South Carolina State?
I don't recall. I do recall calling them Benedict College Orangeburg campus.
Yeah, I think we got the tweet from. I think we got the tweet. Yeah, you can go ahead and say it.
That school is fielding a Division II team, and folks think they're gonna win the MEAC.
Yes. And the funny thing about that, Erica, I don't know if you remember, when I saw you tweet that, there's this function on X where you can quote something, and so I said, make that a quote, and because I was like, we just gonna, because I was like, well, let's just see what happens, and so
I was hoping nobody would see it. It was real late at night. I didn't even mention a school.
Come on now.
I just slid it in there. It was in July. We're not even talking football, and I thought, I just slid it in there and went to bed.
Now when you talk, people are paying attention. Let's not kid ourselves. So that was in July. South Carolina State was picked fourth.
Fourth, yes.
Fourth. Cobi, you saw this. What were your feelings
about the comment?
About the comment. I mean, and to be fair, and shout out to Erica for coming on, because I asked her to come on. I didn't tell her when she agreed to it, but I did tell her yesterday that so she was prepared. But a lot of people felt like this. Did you guys feel disrespected by people saying that you guys were a D2 team?
Yes, and then that finally got admitted by Coach Barry in that presser.
Yeah, I think we got the clip. So
yeah,
we'll roll that clip. We'll roll that clip.
This is what motivated them today. Because guess what? Look around. Nobody thought we were going to be here. But these guys, they believed from the beginning. Nobody on the outside. They said, we're bringing in all these D2 guys. We got this D2 coach. But I believe from the beginning that we were putting young men together that believed in this process of falling in love with it every day. That's why I love each and every one of them. It's not about all the people on the outside, because there are always going to be naysayers. But when you got young men, you put God first, and you got young men that believe in the process of what we do every day and fall in love with the process. You see here today. But again, the journey's not over. We still got work to do. We got another game.
I actually never watched the clip. I was just told about it.
Yeah, I was actually there. That was me.
I think you told me
with the recording. And when he said that, I wanted to jump out. I wanted to yell out in the press conference. Not just Erica, because she was not the only person that said that. But I think that a lot of people felt like that. Now, being that my alma mater's in D2, people kind of felt some type of way, about that on that side of it too. And I think that galvanized a lot of people that maybe didn't even have, a relationship to South Carolina State or Chennis Berry. They kind of root from you. Or you kind of heard Coach Keaton talking about it too. And what?
Well, listen. I apologized on HBCU Nightly, and I congratulated Coach Barry, who has been on HBCU Nightly. We interviewed him right after he got the role, right after we interviewed Coach Buddy Pugh. And I congratulated them. Fantastic season. They came to Howard. They gave it to us pretty good. I'd like to think that I motivated them to greatness. I gave them their billboard material. I
sent you the photo of you on a billboard.
On a billboard. I mean, just think, had I not said that, would we be sitting here today? I'm just saying. You're welcome.
Cobi.
I can't believe she just said that.
Hold it. Ready? Mail lady got to go to work.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying.
I'm just gonna sit this out and mind my ram business right now. Like,
we most certainly would have been here regardless of the comment. Okay, because you weren't the only one to feel that way. You were just the first to say it. It was gonna come from somebody. It just came from you.
Listen, I mean, I didn't even think y'all saw it. Y'all just take everything so sensitive. But I'm glad. I'm here to support. I'm super excited for Coach Berry and the Fighting South Carolina State Bulldogs, not Bumpkins. And I think it'll be fantastic tomorrow. I absolutely think they're going to win the Celebration Bowl tomorrow. And I absolutely think that Jackson State's record winning percentage will match Howard's by the end of the day tomorrow.
Yeah, so the MEAC, yeah, so here's the thing, and I like to have a good time with the MEAC. One, because they're in my backyard. Two, because when I was at WSSU, we were in the MEAC, and people kind of
were there for a minute, yes.
Yeah, people kind of acted brand new on us, and we sorry, things didn't work out, but but you talk about the MEAC, the SWAC has a lot of bravado. They talk a lot. They have a lot of energy. But it seems like now the MEAC has kind of been, kind of like the crumpets and tea conference outside of Orangeburg. There, I don't think they do crumpets and tea. And I don't know how much crumpets and tea they having in Durham if we keeping it a buck. I'm just gonna be honest. But you're a little bit Norfolk. What they got? A little 757. They got that. But north of that, crumpets and tea.
Yes.
What do you feel like the state of the MEAC fandom is right now?
I think it's really revving up, honestly. I think HBCU Nightly is a big part of that because we're probably the biggest show that covers HBCU sports every week. Shout out to Banks, Morgan State, y'all not our rivals. But I think we should have some razzle dazzle too. Like, we need to talk trash. I don't think it needs to be as toxic as the SWAC or anything like that, but I think we could go back and forth. I think in basketball season, it gets a little bit more revved up because we are a very proud basketball conference as well, and we see each other more. Football season, you have one game a year. In basketball, you got the men and women 2 games a year, and it's a lot of fun. So I think it's coming along, honestly. A season like this, the last couple seasons, I think, has started to build that. I mean, you got to think about Trey Oliver and Larry Scott at the MEAC press day last summer.
That's been a thing.
And, us putting 50 on them, then putting 50 on us. The big fight this year, Chinnis Berry telling all of y'all didn't believe it. Like, we gotta get Norfolk State on board. We gotta get Downstate figuring something out. We gotta get Morgan to be better than what everybody says they're gonna be. And then maybe we could have a full 6-piece of good trash talk.
Cobi.
Yeah, I currently love where it is right now and what it's becoming. Because we have been very successful in recent memory. So why not stick our chest out a little bit more? I think we deserve that right. We've earned that. And I also think that with the rivalries that we have, it can get intense, but it's also respect at the end of the day. It's never toxic. It's never disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? It's tasteful. So yeah, I think we can up the ante a little bit more, and I would definitely love to see those other schools get involved with it because I would love a 6-piece, as Erica pointed out. But no, I love the way it is right now.
Yeah, well, I do think the MEAC versus SWAC talk is a little toxic. It's definitely got a tinge there. Facebook has been off.
Oh, that group is crazy. One thing I will say about the MEAC is when it comes to the Celebration Bowl, we do not change sides.
Very true.
So we are all MEAC unity. We are not cheering for anybody in the SWAC. But for all of you SWAC fans that don't want Jackson State to win, come on over to the MEAC. You're good.
Come to Death Row. Well, I appreciate both of you guys for coming in. I wanted to have you guys, have folks from other media companies, just really spread this out a little bit. And I appreciate what you guys bring to the space, your energy and everything like that. And You guys got an event tomorrow?
Oh, yes, please. Everyone, HBCU Nightly, we're having our Mix and Mingle mixer tomorrow at High Velocity at the Atlanta Marriott Marquis. So that's where everybody will be from 4:30 to 8:30. It's free. Please come out, come hang with us, come meet us. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right. You tell Mr. Sims we'll be sending him an invoice for that. Now, I appreciate y'all. I will try my best to roll through. Gets a little bit busy with work, so I appreciate y'all. And so next up, we're going to talk with we're going to go to the other side of this, right? So we got the MEAC, Team MEAC Unity side. So we're going to go over to talk to two guys who know Jackson State very well, and that is the one and only Senior Charles Bishop and the international man of mystery himself, and Wilton Jackson, our guys. So we'll be bringing those out, and I appreciate both of you guys for your contributions.
Thank
and
you.
we will be seeing you guys a little bit later. So appreciate that. Yeah. But the Celebration Bowl, man, I'm gonna tell you guys, it's really great to see. I was actually at my hotel a little bit earlier, and I think we got a clip of that. We've got, the hotel that I'm staying at as a mix of Jackson State and South Carolina State alumni, supporters, and friends, and folks are piled in from everywhere. So I think we've got the guys from Jackson State here, and they are ready and roaring to go. So I'm gonna turn it over to Wilton. He's gonna be the head guy in charge, and they will co-concert this Jackson State discussion, and we'll be back.
So I have Mr. Charles Bishop. We're gonna get into talking about Jackson State. Charles, obviously another time in the Celebration Bowl, third appearance in the Celebration Bowl in 4 seasons. When you look at this Jackson State team, what feels different about Jackson State this year versus in previous years?
Obviously, when you take a look at the offense, it's a different looking offense. When you take a look at Jackson State, probably the previous 2 years, the pass sort of set up the run, even though Savion Wilkerson was a 1,000-yard rusher for Jackson State. But this is, I jokingly say that it's a MEAC team posing as a SWAC team.
Yeah.
It is a gritty, grimy bunch, an offensive line that is extremely physical. You have to meet Jackson State's physicality with regards to the offensive line and the defensive lines. When you talk to some older Jackson State fans, it is sort of reminiscent of those Jackson State teams that really ran the football and came downhill at you. When you start taking a look at the pantheon of backs going from the late 70s, Perry Harrington, Jeff Moore, Carl Blue, Lewis Tillman. Yep. You move into the 90s and take a look at those backs that would come downhill. Right. Carlos Night Train, I tell you, Maurice Hampton, exactly.
The list can go on
and then
on
the leading rusher, Destry Wright.
Right. Oh yeah.
So Irv Mulligan sort of fits into that pocket of those guys that would run downhill at you, and that's really what you take a look at with this Jackson State football team. This is a gritty, grimy bunch, and they really fight you tooth and nail in the trenches.
Absolutely. TC from the beginning of the season has stressed the idea of building this team for December, and obviously it's December now. What do you think, when you look at his impact, what would a Celebration Bowl win or victory for him mean for his legacy at Jackson State right now?
My goodness. I often joke that the most important person in Jackson is either the mayor or Jackson State's AD or the Jackson State's football coach. Yeah. TC wins the Celebration Bowl, he can run for mayor. Just be honest with you. But the way that the city would galvanize, as they already have, behind TC will be huge for his legacy. And he's made a point. He's stressed how important this Celebration Bowl is. So that puts even more emphasis on it. Yeah. We're moving from a generation where the SWAC championship was the end goal. Mm-hmm. And now we're in 9 years of Celebration Bowl. And I think this Jackson State fan base, they understand how important getting the last victory is with regards to getting the Celebration Bowl win.
Absolutely. And I kind of said it at the top. Jackson State 2021, they faced this same, well, not the same. Obviously, they faced South Carolina State. 2022, it was North Carolina Central. Last year, it was FAMU representing the SWAC. And now they get a chance to get a rematch, so to speak, against South Carolina State, but with obviously a very different team. Buddy Pugh led that team, the legend himself in 2021. Now you get a coach in Chennis Berry. You know, we could say all day all of the superlatives and great things about T.C. Taylor, but Chennis Berry and what he brings with South Carolina State against Jackson State, what does South Carolina State, what areas or challenges do they bring to Jackson State?
I think this is that team that has the ability to meet Jackson State's physicality. When you take a look at their offensive line, when you take a look at their defensive line, I think that's going to be one of the things that you really pay attention to in terms of who's going to win that tug of war in the trenches. Of course, Chennis Berry, master motivator, brought his guys in from Benedict, and look what they've done in year one. A guy like Eric Phoenix, you know, we were talking, you know, in terms of the quarterback play in HBCUs this past season, and you can make an argument that obviously Eric Phoenix was probably the best of what was out there this season. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Charles, I got to ask this: game is tomorrow. We've talked about Jackson State, South Carolina State all season. This is the game that everybody wanted to see. In your opinion, if you had to gauge on what team was going to win and what it comes down to, what would you say?
That's a great question, Wilton. I think it's going to come down to some defensive play. I mean, I think when you have teams that are so evenly matched, sometimes it's okay to run, and punt and pin teams deep. Yeah. And see can defense, you know, make a play deep in one's territory. I think that's going to be something to really pay attention to tomorrow. Obviously, you talk about it in every football game, whether a team can create turnovers and create extra possessions, create short fields, to create scoring opportunities. And I think either team that has the ability to do that will be the victor in this one.
Absolutely. And I'm going to give you one more question before we move out to our next part of the show. If you had to give an X factor for each team, one from South Carolina State, one from Jackson State, what would be the X factor?
Special teams, I think, is going to be an X factor. We've seen Gerardo Baeza be able to hit some pretty long field goals. Travis Terrell is a young man from Jackson State standpoint. He sort of reminds me, and I don't know if a lot of people who watch the SWAC for the past few years, he reminds me of a guy named Warren Newman.
Oh, absolutely.
Who was at Southern.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can line him up all over the place, in the backfield and the slide. I mean, you just have to find where he is.
Absolutely.
But we've seen him make big plays on special teams. And from a standpoint, the intangible, I think it comes down for South Carolina State is, you know, Eric Phoenix, being Eric Phoenix. I mean, I think the question of the day is, can Jackson State's defensive line get to him? Because if he's comfortable, you're in for a long day.
Absolutely. Charles described it best. I think we're now going to be joined back with Stephen Gaither. Steve, what's your insight for us, man?
Yeah, man, it's great hearing you guys talk about Jackson State. It's great seeing them be able to come back to this game after the year hiatus. FAMU was able to step in and win one for the SWAC. Yeah. I know, now more than ever, you guys gotta be anxious to add your names to the list to that small list of SWAC teams that have won the championship.
Yeah. Obviously, it's going to be very important, and I think the pendulum is slowly turning. We saw with FAMU last year. They were the more physical team. They were able to get the win. We saw Jackson State in the MEAC SWAC Challenge take it to South Carolina State last year. FAMU got the win over Norfolk State this year in the MEAC SWAC Challenge. So the pendulum, it's taken a while, but it's slowly starting to creep back into the SWAC's favor.
When you asked that question, I think about what TC said in his press conference. He said, I've been to 4 Celebration Bowls, but I've seen the confetti fall on 4 different teams. Yeah. And to see, I was on another show talking about this, if Jackson State is able to pull out this win in the Celebration Bowl, what it would do for the fans and the citizens of Jackson. I mean, to bring a title or a championship to Jackson would mean a lot for the city. And to Charles's point, You win a championship at Jackson State, you pretty much could do anything. The key to the city is yours.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So you're talking about the keys to the city and everything like that. I was at my hotel just before I got here, was able to check in early. Shout out to the people, those folks who, the little hookup, HBCU Gameday hookup. But no, and I ran into some South Carolina State folks. I also ran into some Jackson State folks, and one of them was able to stop and talk to me a little bit about the level of excitement, and we kind of and we kind of chopped that up a little bit. So I think we'll go to that clip, and then I'll talk a little bit about these the band of the. You know what? You know what?
Boy.
Oh boy! You know what? Y'all almost got out of here without that. Y'all almost got out of here.
I almost slipped out of here.
Y'all almost slipped out of here. But as soon as I said band of the year,
Yeah.
let's talk about it, y'all.
Yeah.
Because there was something else. So Jackson State. Ooh, I'm glad Jackson State did come here last year, right? They were in Atlanta last year.
They were against North Carolina A&T.
Mm-hmm.
And they did leave empty-handed again for the third year.
They did.
Well, against a MEAC team, but it wasn't the Tigers. It was the sonic boom of the South.
Yeah.
It was the inaugural HBCU Band of the Year. So, it was kind of a new thing, a new phenomenon, and people were kind of trying to figure out what this is. We've had battles of the bands, but we've never had a Band of the Year where there's like a one-on-one of bands. Right. And so last year, you get in there to the Mercedes-Benz Dome. You got North Carolina A&T, formerly of the MEAC. Mm-hmm. Formerly the CIAA too, but they act like they've been Division I since forever. But anyway, that's A&T. And then you've got Jackson State, Sonic Boom of the South, and they were there as well. And the two teams battled it out, and it was a little bit of confusion. There was a little bit of, again, with anything new, people are kind of trying to figure out how this thing works. So we actually left the stadium not knowing who won the championship.
Yeah.
There was a great back and forth as well between the bands and the stands, to the point where they had to tell them, if you keep playing, we will deduct from your points. Yeah. It was that real, guys. It was that real at the inaugural Band of the Year. When the dust settled the next day, as I predicted, the North Carolina A&T Blue and Gold Marching Machine did come away with the win. Controversial win.
Yeah.
Very controversial.
Quite controversial. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Controversial.
Yeah,
Superbly controversial. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, what's the state of the band situation? I know this year, last year they were runner up. This year they're not here.
Well, I mean, I think it's one of those situations where styles make fights, and SWAC bands they battle each other week in, week out. Even if you're not a representative in the Band of the Year, you still might be the people's champ. Yeah. And I think Sonic Boom has laid claim to being the people's champ for this past season. Even when you talk about Band of the Year last year, I mean, sometimes being a people's champ ain't a bad thing. Yeah. So, I think the Sonic Boom of the South has done their fair share of battles, if you will, week in, week out. They're on the road. I mean, there's something to be said for that, in addition to not just putting on a performance on the field, but, zero quarter, fifth quarter. That's part of the culture in the Southwestern athletic culture. So people's champ is a good thing to be.
Steve, you saw the dialogue from last year on Twitter. It was a lot. It was heavy. Yeah.
It has not stopped. It has not stopped. There are conspiracy theories. Even though, and I've done a shout out to John Grant, and we've done some work with the Red Lobster Band of the Year this year. Even though one of the co-chairs is band director emeritus of Jackson State.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Somehow there's an anti-Jackson State.
I know, right? I can tell you, as a person who just wrote a story for another platform on Jackson State's female drum major, I had to talk to several people that previously marched in the Boom from the 90s. When I tell you, in asking my questions for my story, I did all of that. Another 30 minutes to an hour was about, I cannot believe that Jackson State is not in the ESPN Battle of the Bands. This is blasphemous.
Yeah.
There should never be a year where Jackson State, FAMU, Southern, Texas Southern, and some of these other schools shouldn't be there. They should be there every single year.
Guys, there's only 2 slots.
Yeah,
there's only 2 slots for D1, and then they got 2 slots for D2 as well.
I'm just relaying the miss.
Hey, those 80s, 90s boomers, they cutthroat.
Very much so.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, so the ESPN Band of the Year is going to take place on Friday night. I have been told from very good sources that we will know who the winner is on Friday night. We won't have to wait until the Celebration Bowl, even though I kind of did like that little bit of added,
Intrigue.
Added intrigue. But apparently they got enough pushback that they're not going to do that. They're also going to be adding a high school band showcase as well, so excitement there. And shout out to all of the programs and all the band directors. I got a chance to go to their press conference the other day, and really great stuff, especially from Virginia State, who last year, they were the runner-up in the Division II ranks there.
Tremendous performance.
Yep.
Yeah, lost to Florida Memorial, but they're back. And then you also had Miles College, and I think it was great. I think again, we've had Battle of the Bands before, but this Band of the Year thing as a competition, I think it's good. Even the thing about the feeling like it's like it is competitive like a game, in that we should be there, right. And that you also have teams now at the beginning of the season like, hey, our goal is to get to Atlanta, and if we don't get to Atlanta, we're gonna feel slighted or this, that, and the third. I don't know. I think that has been great.
I think it's worth noting too for people that don't always understand band culture. Like some people look at it from a standpoint of just like, oh, the bands are just in the stands. We just play tunes and songs and things like that or selections, but it's so much that goes into band life. Learning different drills. I mean, learning the selections on in the stands. You also like the leadership that goes into it, like the extra practices that no one sees and all these different weird hours and things like that. It's a whole nother life. Like it's not just something that you could just pick up and put down.
I always laugh because my dorm room faced Jackson State's band practice field, the old honors dorm, and 4:45 a.m. in the morning, they woke me up on a consistent. So, it is extremely hard work, and you can't take anything away from all that these, and I call them student athletes as well. I mean, they put so much into band, and for them to have a goal at the end of the year, that's huge.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, Band of the Year will take place on Friday night, starting at 6 o'clock. So, depending on when you're watching this, it might have already taken place. But let us know your thoughts in the comments. Let us know who you thought won, who you think should have been there that isn't there. we want all the smoke in the comments. So, conspiracy. Give us your conspiracy theories, thoughts, anything in the comments, whatever. But appreciate you, Charles, for hopping on. We're gonna circle back around and get Symone to lead us out of here. Time is getting shorter. Brother does have to be at that Band of the Year concert, and of course, this Atlanta traffic is
not fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's like half a mile takes you literally 5 minutes. So so Wilton, you'll hang with us, and then Symone will help us kind of come close this thing out. And I think the other thing too, I'll be able to say this as well. Being able to be at the Celebration Bowl since the beginning of it, I'm really, maybe I'm getting a little older now, I'm a dad, I'm a little sentimental, but I'm just thinking about, being at the Celebration Bowl I've actually been to every one. Tomorrow I'll be every one. So it's been a privilege to do that. And I think I got to say, hats off to John Grant, the folks at ESPN Events, both the conference commissioners and everybody, because this has been something that's really grown. The first couple of years that we came here, nobody really knew what was going on except for the people who were going into the game. Right. But now, I know I checked into my hotel with the HBCU Gameday hookup, and was able to see folks with pins on the Celebration Bowl. And I think the awareness of this game has only grown. And again, it's now like, before it was like HBCUs kind of had this abstract thing, okay, we're going to win our championship game, and then maybe we'll go to the playoffs and we'll hope we'll win a game. But now it's like the Super Bowl. What do you guys think about just how you guys have seen the game evolve?
No, I certainly agree, Steve. Like I think for me, when you start seeing people talking about it like weeks in advance, hey, this Celebration Bowl, initially it started out that way. Then you get to the point of, oh, it's Wednesday and people are already coming into the city. Like you get people from whatever schools, whether if it's from a SWAC school or from a MEAC school, they're already getting ready to hit the highway.
Other.
Exactly. They're getting ready to come to the city of Atlanta to celebrate, HBCU excellence, 2 great HBCU football teams. And just as a person covering my 4th Celebration Bowl, I've seen it grow just in 4 years. So to be where you are and having covered all 9 or covering your 9th this year, it's been tremendous.
Yeah, I think it's my 3rd Celebration Bowl, but yeah, seeing it grow has been amazing, and then all the pageantry that goes around it as well. It being a week-long event, just like the major brand name bowls that everyone comes to know. Having the players here early in the week, have all different kinds of events, award ceremonies, just all the bells and whistles that go into it. And then of course, just around the city, you see all the signage around the city and people who are not even affiliated with an HBCU, but you live in Atlanta and you want to pull up to an event on Saturday, so you have the Celebration Bowl. And now the band competition, even people, like I said, who just band heads in Atlanta, high school students, college students who want to go and check out the HBC Band of the Year. So a lot of great stuff going on. But Steve, you haven't made your pick, and I feel like you went through all that to try to avoid that. But that's not happening here. It is a football game tomorrow. We have talked a lot. We've done all the talking. We've talked. The players have talked. The coaches have talked. It is time for the guys to strap on them helmets, hit the field, get in them trenches, and go after the 9th Celebration Bowl. Wilton Jackson, you said earlier in the show you are going with the Jackson State Tigers. Yes. Just for those who've been watching the video for a long time, they might have dozed off a little bit. They waking up for the end of the show. Can you remind the people why you are picking Jackson State?
I think Jackson State is going to make a few more additional plays than South Carolina State has. I do think that South Carolina State will. I do think that this game will come down to defense. I think it will come down to special teams as well. When I say special teams, I mean a field goal. That could be the difference maker in this game. 2 outstanding defenses, 2 outstanding offenses, but it's really going to come down to which team is going to be able to run the ball, which team is going to be able to get that critical stop, and which team is going to be able to get and have that explosive play. And I think it's going to go Jackson State's way.
And your score prediction?
I would say 27-21.
Oh, okay. You said it was going to come down to a field goal, then you gave them 2 field goals. Okay, Stephen J. Gaither. Who are you picking?
I don't really do much of the prediction game anymore. But, I don't know. Both of these coaches have gotten here extremely fast and built winners. I think the first one to 35 wins.
Who is the first one that's going to 35, Steve? Stand on business, Steve.
I'm gonna say South Carolina State. I think I think South Carolina State. I think they're gonna finish the deal. They're gonna finish the Division II fairy tale and put a bow on that. And but I think I got about it. I got a 42. I got it at 42-35. South Carolina State.
Symone, all I can say is this: in addition to what I've said for my pick, I just want to see what the coaches speak and talk is going to be for both teams tomorrow. Because I know Chennis Berry is going to come in there. Like, Steve does a great impression of Chennis Berry.
Let's hear it.
Well, we just going 1-0. We're going to go 1-0 at the band of the year, and then we're going to get up the next day, we're going to pay the fee, and then we're going to go to the Celebration Bowl, we're going to cover the Celebration Bowl, we're going to talk to the people in the stands. And then we talk to people in the stands. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to get out there and you're going to cover the game. And then at halftime, they're going to go in. And it's going to be people playing. But you know what? You just keep on covering. And then at the end of the game, the confetti's coming down.
So this is something you've heard before, Wilton? Because you said that you've heard this before? Oh, okay.
Yes. This is.
And the players will say, "Go Dogs."
No, the players just be like this.
That is classic.
The players just be like this when he's talking.
Chennis Berry.
But I love it. We have South Carolina State. We have a Jackson State pick. Regardless, it's going to be a great football game. South Carolina State chasing their second Celebration Bowl victory. Jackson State University back for the third time, looking for their first victory in the Celebration Bowl. I am Symone Stanley. Thank you so much to our amazing guests, everyone that we had here on the show. Thank you so much for rocking with us throughout the entire 2024 HBCU Game Day Super Show. Until next time.
That was dope.